The YETI Tocayo is a 26-liter backpack that uses some really solid materials in its construction, and it actually stands up on its own, which is actually kind of a rare thing for bags, especially of this size. I'm Tom, the founder of Pack Hacker, where we use our expertise and real-world experience to provide practical resources and honest opinions, guiding you towards smarter travel. Let's jump right into the YETI Tocayo, a 26-liter bag that we've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's check it out. From an aesthetic perspective, the YETI Tocayo looks a lot like a GoRuck GR1. And if you aren't familiar with GoRuck, they make really durable, almost military specification based gear, and they have an epic warranty to boot. So although there are some similarities in the aesthetic, these things feel and carry a lot differently. So if any of you think that this is pretty much just a copy of a GR1, it's basically only the look. The YETI Tocayo has an overall boxy shape at the base that allows it to stand up on its own, even when nothing is inside of it. And there's some rigidity as well. So we have this EVA foam on the back panel here, keeps things nice and straight as you do set it down. So even with it fully empty, it stands up on its own, which is really great. And to go along with that boxy base, there is a little bit of curvature here on the top sides and these rounded corners. That overall makes it look a little bit more like a bag, less like a cube on your back, so we enjoy the look of it. The main exterior fabric is 1000D nylon, and that is backed with a polyurethane coating. Then on the inside there is 210D nylon ripstop as well. Overall the exterior feels soft, so that 1000D nylon is going to feel a little bit softer. Inside feels a little bit more swishy or tarpy due to that lower denier number. When it comes to weather resistance, YETI knows a thing or two since they primarily make coolers. The one area where it's gonna be the weakest are the zippers. So those are really high quality YKK zippers. However, they don't provide any additional weather resistance. They're not AquaGuard zippers either. So that's gonna be the weakest point for moisture getting on inside of this bag. The PALS webbing on the outside of the bag gives it some nice functionality without going too overboard and having rows of PALS. And actually, YETI calls this their roundhouse grid. So it is on the entire exterior of the bag. We've also seen a very similar design concept on some of their coolers and other soft carry goods as well. At the time of this review, the Tocayo is available in 2 colors, the black that we have here and tan as well. And we opted for black. We usually do. We just generally like the look of it. From a branding perspective, we have a big YETI logo on the front of the bag here. Then we have a smaller YETI logo on the straps, and then this kind of massive, let me just fold this over so you can see, YETI imprinted logo on the back panel. So there's really no question that you're actually carrying a YETI bag. They must stamp this in there for airflow, right? It's gotta be the function, right? Not just because it looks cool. In our opinion, we think this pack looks slick, but beauty is always in the eyes of the beholder. That's why we pulled our Instagram audience over at Pack Hacker. So be sure to head over there, follow us at Pack Hacker if you want to be involved in future aesthetic polls. Wrapping it up from a materials perspective, we have some durable YKK zippers that are super smooth to zip. We have dense EVA foam used on the back panel and straps for a comfortable carry and laptop protection. We have durable and chunky Duraflex hardware used for the strap adjusters and the sternum strap. Kicking it off with the external components, let's start with the harness system, specifically the straps. So overall, this is a very thin strap, but it is dense EVA foam going on the inside of here and overall provides a comfortable carry. You won't find any mesh for additional breathability here. It's just that 1000D nylon pretty much sticking to yourself. So if you're wearing a tank top or something like that, it might generate a little bit more perspiration than we'd like to see. However, for a smaller bag of this size at 26 liters, we think that's totally all right. The bottom half of the strap features 3 loops of PALS webbing that can be used for attaching additional accessories and the sternum strap. The sternum strap doesn't really have a permanent attachment, which we're generally not big fans of. However, with the way that YETI has designed this one, it stays on pretty tightly overall. Like I said earlier, these strap adjusters are super chunky Duraflex and are satisfying to use. I like that they're a little bit larger to promote additional durability as well. They're just solid. Right where the straps end, there is an additional nylon lash loop, and that can be used presumably to attach a hip belt. But it is a little bit confusing because over on YETI.com on the product listing page, we are not seeing an add-on option for a hip belt, but this is generally the design that matches other packs we've seen. That's typically where the hip belt attaches. Lastly, the back panel here is pretty much a giant EVA padded foam, again with that YETI logo punched out, so there are no creases, no mesh for additional breathability, pretty much just that nylon straight up on your back. Overall, the carry of this bag feels a little bit stiff, which may primarily be due to the stiffer back panel. There are no dividers going on in the back panel here, and the way the harness system is anchored could add to some of that as well. So a little bit stiffer of a carry than we've seen in other bags. It's sort of just like, kind of a brick, which is basically the way this pack is built. You definitely feel that on your back as you're using it. It's not a deal breaker, especially at this size, but it does take a little bit of getting used to the feel. Overall, the exterior is pretty minimal with this bag. The last thing to cover, which is pretty functional and pretty great, is the roundhouse grid, and that goes around the entire length of the pack. This is pretty much a combination of the tactical PAL system that you use to attach MOLLE accessories to. Although you could maybe fit one small MOLLE accessory, you don't have those rows and rows of PAL's webbing here to kind of permanently affix a larger pouch or something of that nature. However, it's still good for attaching things like carabiners or maybe a small MOLLE accessory. There are 3 grab handles on the outside of this pack integrated directly with this PAL's webbing system, which we really, really like. There's 2 on the side, 1 on the top, and it just looks clean and organized because you just have this one long strip of PALs versus, PALs and then a handle and then maybe some other things on the exterior. The pack keeps a really clean and streamlined look. 3 handles are nice when you are grabbing the bag in the overhead compartment on the airplane, whether you're at a coffee shop, getting up, ready to leave, or whether it's under the airplane seat in front of you. So having that versatility of 3 handles is helpful. Kicking it off with the quick stash pocket on the top of the bag. It is solid and it is secure. So overall, pretty simple to understand. Zipper opens right up. There's a giant compartment in here with that 210D nylon liner. And really great size here. You can almost fit a plus size iPhone inside of it vertically. I know YETI explains that you can hold jerky in here. So boom, we got some perky jerky in there, as well as a couple other items inside of here. And really love the space that this provides. It's easy to access and it is a little bit more secure since it is closer to your back. You kind of have this handle in the way, a little bit harder to access. So that's a nice security perk there as well. One additional note here is that there is a zipper garage for this YKK zipper on the quick grab pocket. So when you put that in the garage, it is a little bit harder to get moisture inside. And although again, these are not YKK AquaGuard zippers, every little bit helps for weather resistance. Speaking of the zipper pulls, they are all very nice and pullable. So you kind of have this paracord material going on here and they don't jingle like other metal zippers do. So a lot of the times you kind of have a jingle fest going on at the top here. Not the case with these, they are silent. The front compartment opens up horseshoe style and offers some pretty good width and depth. So I just have a jacket stuffed in here right now. It goes down to about 5 inches remaining in the pack. So you do have a little bit of extra space at the bottom where that pocket does not go fully down to. And it's kind of nice for a pocket of this size since it is a little bit thinner. If it goes way to the bottom, it's a little bit easier to lose things at the bottom of the pack. So they've kept it a little bit smaller. Inside, there is another very simple zippered pocket here. In this case, you see that they've used a gray zipper pull to kind of match the interior. I really like the minimalist look of this. All the colors are very subdued. We open that right up. The height of this one is a little bit taller than the size of a plus-sized iPhone. Definitely a good amount of space in here to hold smaller items and just have quick access to. You always know where they're at. Now, before getting onto the main compartment of this bag, let's chat about our least favorite feature, which is the laptop compartment, for a couple of reasons. The sleeve itself is nice and padded on all sides with that EVA foam. However, the laptop pocket goes all the way to the bottom of the pack, which means there's no false bottom, which means that if your pack hits the ground abruptly, your laptop is going to smack the ground as well. So we generally prefer packs that have a bit of a suspension system inside for your laptop that just hold things a little bit higher up. Next up, sliding the laptop in and out can be a bit of a pain as well, specifically because this strap is sort of in the way. So when you go to unzip the compartment, that's just right in the way of the zipper, which is just not ideal. You kind of have to flip the strap around a little bit, get it out of the way, and then you can fully unzip that compartment and then get access to your laptop. This again is by no means a deal breaker, just something to note. And if the positioning of that strap attachment was a little bit different, maybe if the template and the design of this bag was a little bit different, you wouldn't run into that. But I also understand that there are design implications to just willy-nilly placing things around in terms of durability and quality. So just something to note, that is obstructing the laptop compartment a little bit. Now onto the main event, the main access of this bag, and those zippers come down fully clamshell style. However, there is a bit of a box on the bottom here, and that's what allows this bag to stand up. So although the zippers go all the way down, you can't fully open the bag clamshell style, and that's actually a positive for this pack. Although there's not an official water bottle pocket on the outside of this bag, if you open up the clamshell just on the sides, you can get access to whatever is in that side partition there. So we've just got the YETI Rambler in here. Of course, that's gonna go directly inside. No other bottle other than a YETI bottle for this review. So that just pops right in here on the side, and then you can zip that down. So if you keep these zippers positioned, it's easy to get access. The one thing that you just wanna make sure of is to not put leaky plastic bottles inside of there. Make sure that your water bottle is solid before you trust putting it inside with the rest of your gear. This boxy system at the bottom is pretty unique and not one that we have really even seen before. The square and boxy design and style kind of fits other YETI products like their coolers or other soft goods. So I think it's a design nod to that a little bit, and it fits into the family quite well. The side pockets are nice for additional compartmentalization, but just note, if you do want to fit something in larger towards the bottom, say like a full packing cube or something like that, the width might get a little bit tricky because these little side divider pockets might get in the way for larger items that you want to put at the very bottom of the pack. So just note that, not a deal breaker, but just something to consider. It would be interesting to see if this material on the sides was designed in a little bit of a different way, so it laid flat while not in use, versus sort of just being in the way if you aren't using those side pockets. In the same height of this box, there is a separate divider pocket in the back that's good for flatter items, say some documents, a keyboard, or maybe even a second laptop if you're that type of person. Around the interior, YETI has the same exact pattern for the roundhouse grid in the exterior, except on the inside here, it's just a little bit less robust of nylon going on. That is handy to have on the inside as well as the outside. So we've got just a day pack hanging here. This is the Why Not Deploy. That's just hanging up here at the top. And then we've got the integratable YETI bottle opener on the inside as well, because who doesn't like opening beers for people? Makes sense to have this here. There's additional utility and it reinforces it from the inside. And then on the top inside here, there is a nice soft mesh pocket with a great YKK zippered access. There's a little bit of give here. It gives you a little bit of depth, but generally this is good for flatter items as well. At the time of this review, Nathan and I have been testing the YETI Tocayo for a little bit over 2 weeks in Detroit, Michigan. Overall, it's been a pretty good carry around the co-working space and the coffee shop and just generally around town. Having the pack stand up on its own just by setting it down has saved us a lot of time and effort. However, with the time we saved from doing that, we've lost a little bit of time fishing that laptop out. So that strap definitely gets in the way and was a bit of an annoyance in actual use. The smooth zipper operation has been nice as well. Everything runs very smoothly right out of the gate. So to wrap this thing up with some pros and cons, starting with the pros, the YETI Tocayo uses some solid and durable materials that are pulled together in an excellent way. It stands up on its own. Not a lot of bags can do this. And the roundhouse grid is a minimal and functional feature that ends up being quite useful, and the handles are a nice touch. On to some of the cons, these zippers could offer better weather resistance. The carry is a little bit stiff overall. And lastly, the laptop compartment access is not ideal. That strap just gets in the way. The YETI Tocayo is a well-built pack that'll last a long time. The style is ideal for folks that like a mix of giant, bucket-style storage with a couple smart zippered pockets. The bag stands on its own really well, even when it's empty, which is actually quite rare for a pack, and this is a benefit that should not be glossed over. If you can get over the minor laptop access nitpick and a slightly stiffer carry, the YETI Tocayo comes together to create a solid bag that's a joy to use as a daily driver or minimal travel pack. So there you have it, our review of the YETI Tocayo. Be sure to let us know in the comments what you think of this bag. We always love hearing opinions from our community because that's where some of the best ideas come from. So thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next video.